Hello and welcome to the Natural Animal Podcast. I'm your host, Ruth Hatton. I'm an animal naturopath and just in generally a huge animal lover. Here on the show, we share thoughts and ideas about the nature of animals, their preferences, their behaviours, their ways of being, to engender a greater understanding, respect, compassion, and love for all animals, companion, farm, and wild. And I hope you enjoyed this week's episode as we explore holistic kidney care for animals. Just a little interruption to the program. I made a little faux pas. I think I said it twice. When I say CT scan, I mean to say ultrasound. Okay, enjoy. Now, this was a question that someone asked me, and I can't for the life of me remember the exact question. And I know it was in my Instagram DMs, and I can't find it in there. But when I ran a poll recently and asked, what do you want me to talk about on the podcast when it comes to, natural animal care? One person did send me a message, and it was a question around holistic support for animals with kidney issues. And so this is an area or a health challenge that I work a lot with. And so when I was thinking about what to talk about today, I thought, this would be a really handy episode because it's becoming such a common challenge, a common issue with cat and dog health. I know that I can see that with the people that come to me and the clients that I'm working with one-on-one. So I know it's something that's super relevant. But even for those of you with animals who don't have any kidney issues, I think you'll still find this really beneficial episode to listen to because one, you will learn about kidneys, you will learn about kidney health, you will get a bit more of an understanding around how to holistically support your animal's kidneys. It's not about just waiting until the kidneys, are starting to struggle and then doing something. Kidney care can be something that you can do as a preventative. So there's something in this for everybody. And so the way I'm going to approach this show today is we're going to first have a look, not an actual look. You can certainly go and Google kidneys and have a look at what they look like and where they are, but we're going to have a look at the kidneys and what they do. Then we're going to look at challenges. We're going to look at signs of kidney dysfunction. We're going to look at how to support the kidneys holistically. And then we're going to look at, and that's going to include a bunch of different things. And then I'm going to summarize it all for you. And then we're going to wrap it up and you're going to have a lot more knowledge around how to look after your animal's kidneys. And for those of you watching on YouTube, to my left, which I think will show up as your right, is Elvie having a night, getting ready in his armchair, settling in for the show. So he's going to join us too today. So talking about kidneys. Now, as animals age, we all age, but one of the areas with cats and dogs where there can be struggles is the kidneys, with kidney functioning. But even with some young animals, kidneys can decline or have functional issues. You can also get acute injury, so the kidneys can be injured. They can be healed, but it won't necessarily be, the most common thing that we know about and hear about is chronic kidney disease, which is also referred to as chronic kidney failure. But we're not just, I'm talking about holistic kidney care, and it's not just about talking about chronic kidney disease or failure. It's, demonstrating to you that, just because an animal might present with some kidney problems, there can be a myriad of causes for that. And it's not just restricted to old cats and dogs. There are genetic defects that can happen. I'm working with a dog at the moment who I think is only 1 or 2 years old from memory, who was born with a kidney defect. So, at the outset, we are supporting that dog's kidneys because we want that dog to live a beautiful life with vitality and longevity, So I've been called upon to assist this human with her dog to help to support this dog's little kidneys. So let's talk about kidneys. What are they? What do they do? Where are they? Well, they're two little bean-shaped organs located below the rib cage, and there's one on each side of the spleen. So this doesn't matter if you're talking about a human or a cat or dog, they're situated in the same place anatomically. They're actually a filtration. One of the things they do is filtration. It's probably the main thing they do, because what they're made up of is filtering units called nephrons. And sometimes you'll see kidney disease or poor kidney functioning referred to as nephritis. Now, here's a little tip. Anything with itis on the end of it, that means inflammation. And the neph in this case, well, that's referring to the nephrons, which is what makes up the kidneys. So it's an inflammation of the nephrons, inflammation of the kidneys. So each nephron, so the nephrons are filtering units, right? The kidneys are made up of these nephrons, and these nephrons are filtering units. Each nephron has a filter in it, which is called the glomerulus, and it also has a tubule. And the glomerulus filters the blood, and the tubule returns substances that the kidneys need to the blood, or that the body needs, and removes the waste. So we've got this blood filtration action, filtering out the things that the body doesn't need. And then we've got the things that the body does need, that returns via the tubules into the blood and then removes waste. So really intelligent filtration system happening in these little beans. Now, blood flows into the kidneys to the nephrons via what's called the renal artery, and blood flows out of the kidneys via the renal vein. So blood's coming in, blood's coming out. And so one of the things, what that brings to my mind, is that circulation, blood circulation, is really important as one of the aspects of supporting the kidneys, because of its central role in having blood flowing in and blood flowing out, and the role that that plays in removing waste, right? And so blood is moving through, is circulating through the kidneys many, many, many times a day. As I've said, it is an elimination organ. It removes waste and it removes extra fluid from the body to make urine, and out the body it goes through that urine. So if you think about, fluid retention, that's a kidney thing, right? The kidneys will help to relieve that fluid retention by releasing the fluid, as well as removing waste and extra fluid. The kidneys also remove acid. The cells in the body produce acid, and so the kidneys help with removing that acid out of the body. The acid that's not needed, out it goes. Another really important aspect of kidney functioning is water balance, maintaining a healthy balance of water. Also maintaining a healthy balance of salts and a healthy balance of minerals in the blood. So what we're looking at there are things like sodium, calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. Now, when the water and the salts and the minerals aren't balanced, then it affects other tissues in the body. It affects how they function. So they won't be able to work. They may not be able to work normally if that water, salts, and minerals are not balanced properly by the kidneys. And so you can see already coming in that holistic aspect around the kidneys don't stand alone by themselves doing their own thing, having a great old time. The blood is involved. The urine is involved. All of the tissues in the body are involved with the kidneys, right? Within the body, there is this symbiotic relationship, this holistic relationship, this reciprocal relationship. Everything works together. Everything has a role, and one part affects the other. right? If one part is broken, then other parts can break down. And that's where holistic support really comes in to support the body with healing and with optimal functioning. Another thing that the kidneys do is regulate electrolytes and blood pressure. They also make hormones that help control blood pressure, and they help make red blood cells, and that help with calcium metabolism. And calcium metabolism is important because that's what keeps bones strong and healthy. So if you think about all the things that the kidneys do and the things that they're involved in, if the kidneys aren't functioning optimally, if the kidneys are impacted, whether that's by disease or injury or defect, then it can have an impact on hormones, on electrolyte balance, on blood pressure, on fluid retention, on waste elimination, on the balance of water, salts, and minerals, right? Really, really, really important organs. And so really, really important to nourish those organs. Now, kidneys are part of the urinary system. And when we're looking at the chakras, and the chakras, if you don't know what the chakras are, some people refer to them as chakras. They're energy centers, spinning vortexes within the body that moves energy around, right? It's a very basic description of what chakras are. So in terms of the chakras and the relationship to the kidneys, we're looking at the sacral chakra, because that is the area, the physical body area where the kidneys are located, are within the boundaries or the area where the sacral chakra is. On an animal, on a human and non-human animals, that's that lower back area. Now, signs. One of the main challenges for kidney dysfunction is dehydration. The kidneys need moisture, right? You know, if you think about that, moisture that comes into the body really helps the kidneys to do their job, really helps the kidneys to eliminate that excess waste through the urine. So this really comes up, this is really obvious. It's obvious for me anyway, and it's going to be obvious for you once I explain this to you, is with a diet consisting of dried food, right, kibble, up to maximum 10% moisture in that food. Now, cats and dogs, cats especially, are designed to get moisture from their food. It's why you'll notice more so with cats that they don't drink anywhere near as much water as dogs do. And even many, many dogs don't drink that much water. If they're on a dry food diet, they will drink more water than a cat or dog that is on a moist diet. The kidneys need moisture. A dry food diet is basically setting up the kidneys for failure. So if you are feeding dry and you don't want to stop feeding dry, or it's too challenging to feed dry, you really need to not feed dry. You really need to be making sure that your animal's diet includes adequate levels of moisture. Pure, clean water, bone broth, meat broths, vegetable broths. Some cats and dogs love coconut water, really good natural source of electrolytes as well. But we want to be getting water into their diet, and more if they're having a dried food diet, right? So that's one thing in terms of kidney health, is hydration. The body needs to be hydrated. I mean, that's relevant to all disease states and all health challenges. The body is mostly made up of water. The body needs water to function. If the body is dehydrated, functioning is going to be impacted. You know, it's pretty straightforward, makes sense, right? Another challenge for kidneys can be phosphorus. And this is really seen when we get to that advanced kidney disease stage. The kidneys can build up phosphorus in the blood as the disease progresses, because the kidney is struggling to eliminate waste, right? And so when there's a build-up of waste products in the blood, then that's when we can start to see things like creatinine and phosphorus levels rise when we look at blood work. I think I'm going to speak a bit about that. Well, I'll speak about that now, actually, as I move into talking about signs of kidney dysfunction. Now, you can see signs of kidney dysfunction by doing blood tests. But by that point, if we're already starting to see things like BUN, which is blood urea nitrogen, creatinine, SDMA, phosphorus, concentrated urine, if those symptoms are already present, the functioning of the kidneys has already started to decline, right? So it's not something that you should rely upon it, but don't wait for blood tests to reveal these before taking action to support your animal's kidneys. Prevention is better than cure. In my work, I only get to see the animals once they're already in the diseased state. And so it's much harder for me and the pet parent to heal the animal because the body's already diseased. It's much easier to prevent than to cure, right? But the bloods will reveal to you kidney dysfunction. But just to keep in mind that by that point, there's an advanced stage of dysfunction. The same can be said around, one of the things I guess I will say is a really good marker to get is SDMA, S for Sally, D for dog, M for Marjorie, A for apple. My great aunt's name was Marjorie. I think that's why that came through. It was the first M word. I could have said 1,000 other things, but Marjorie came through. Thanks, Auntie Marjorie. So SDMA, there's a lot of vets that don't do this test. I often, when I'm working with clients who have animals with kidney disease and I get their blood work and then I ask them, right at the next bloods, please ask the vet to do an SDMA test. That is the most sensitive indicator of kidney function. And what it can do is can identify kidney disease before there are physical symptoms of the disease. So that's something to really keep in mind to consider if you're wanting to keep ahead of the game, right? Keep one step ahead. If you want to be checking bloods regularly and actually getting that, because then that once that is starting to go up, you know, right, I need to be doing extra stuff for my animal's kidneys rather than waiting for the creatinine. By then it's like, challenge moment, right? Challenge phase. The focus is then about slowing progression, right? Whereas if we can get it before it started, so much better, right? Now, the most common form of kidney dysfunction is chronic kidney disease or kidney failure. And that comes on very slowly over time. As I said, it's often very advanced by the time symptoms show up in blood work, but also when physical symptoms show up. And the most obvious physical changes are increased urination and increased thirst or increased water intake. So you notice your animal's drinking more. If you ever notice your animal's drinking more, please take them to the vet and get bloods done, right? Because there are a number of health issues, health challenges, diseases that can be symptomatic, that increased drinking can be symptomatic of, right? Later signs can be lethargy, appetite loss, weight loss, poor skin and coat conditioning, sometimes vomiting, severe dehydration, chemical imbalances. And over time, you're not going to see this with your human eye. A CT scan would be needed, possibly X-ray, but usually it's, in my experience, it's usually CT scan that's being done. I did have a cat with kidney failure, so I'm very familiar with the tests and the protocols and all of that. So over the time, the kidneys can get scarred and inflamed, right? And so that will show up on a CT scan. So like I said, the earlier kidney dysfunction is identified, the increased chance there is of managing it and slowing down the progression. And by the time people come to me, that really is the focus. Let's keep it where it is, or heck, if we can revert it. Sometimes or often you will hear it can't be reversed, but I have seen it. I've had a lot of the times, with these kinds of disease states, there's a team of us. There's the pet parent, there's me, and there's the vet, and we're working together on this. And so there have been occasions before when a client, his client's been to the vet, they've got the diagnosis, they come to me, we do some holistic support, they go back to the vet to check bloods, and the numbers have decreased. It happens more than it doesn't happen, right? And so I know that we can not only slow down progression, we can do some level of reversal, right, of improving kidney functioning. Now, how do we support these kidneys holistically? And this is not about, how do we treat kidney disease. This is how to support the kidneys holistically, which obviously is relevant to any kidney ailment. And I want to say at the outset that when we are working holistically, what's really important is we're not just focusing on the kidneys, because as I demonstrated earlier, the kidneys are not working on their own, right? The kidneys are not just impacting themselves. So everything in the body is related. Everything, it's kind of like a domino effect. This happens here, then that happens, and that happens, and that happens, and that happens. And everything needs to be working together and optimally for optimal functioning, right? So, if there is kidney dysfunction, what we don't want to do is just focus on the kidneys and forget about the rest of the body. Because then what can happen is we can create disease in another part of the body, right? And so one of the things I really love to do with kidney dysfunction is to ease the workload of the kidneys, right? Sometimes what can happen with kidney dysfunction as well is the liver will also start to decline in functioning because it can be picking up the slack of the kidneys. Same can happen with the spleen, any of the elimination organs. They are working together as a team to eliminate waste from the body, right? Amongst doing other things. So how do we support these kidneys holistically? Well, first of all, hydration. I mentioned that. I mentioned the importance of hydration earlier. Fresh water available at all times, moist foods, adding fluids to foods, whether that's water, broths, stocks, coconut water, any kind of healthy liquid. Fat is another form of hydration. So making sure that your animal's diet includes adequate levels of healthy fats, right? It's water and fats hydrate the body. Another way is to reduce toxins. As I mentioned, the kidneys are, part of the team of elimination organs within the body. So how do we reduce toxins? And this is not just going to help the kidneys, it's going to help every organ. It's going to help the entire body. We do this through clean food choices. And what do I mean by that? Well, the cleanest food is the food that you find in nature, that's as close to nature as possible, that hasn't been changed by man, right? So give you an example, there's no kibble in nature. It doesn't grow on trees, right? It's not part of an animal. Clean whole foods, so the foods that your animal were designed to eat, and if you can afford and it's available to you, organic, that is the cleanest. Otherwise, it's looking at spray-free is another option, a much cheaper option, especially if you've got farmers markets near you. Stock up on those spray-free veggies, for example. If you can afford to get the organic meats, that's really good, because factory farmed meat, not only does it have so many more ethical issues than organic, but organic, it's much dirtier. The chemical exposure is much higher. So if you can, if you can't, you can't, right? Then we look at other ways that we can reduce toxins. So the cleanest food choices, we want to minimize and or avoid chemicals on the animal and in the animal's environment. So that's going to be things like what are you using on your animal? Shampoo. What's in your animal shampoo? What else are you applying on your animal? Any ointments, any eye drops, ear drops, skin creams, anything that you might be putting on your animal's body, right? Does it have chemicals in? The food, right? If it's processed food, it's likely to have chemicals in it. So again, it's going back to those clean food, whole food, fresh food options. If you want to know more on diet, please check out my Real Food Diet ebooks. There's one for dogs and one for cats. I'll pop the link in the show notes. So what are you putting in the animal? What are you putting on the animal? Medications, right? On the animal, I immediately think of, those spot-on flea treatments. In the animal, you've got all your parasite medications. There's other medications, other pharmaceutical drugs that you might be giving to your animals. Now, you might be able to replace some of those with natural options, or if not, then we'd be looking at how can you provide complementary support with natural options to minimize the side effects of those pharmaceutical drugs. Then we're looking at the environment. What are you using in your home? What are you using to clean your home and everything within your home, including your laundry? Because your animal probably lies on your bed or on your couch or on your clothes. You cuddle them with your clothes on. So even your laundry is a way that your animals can be exposed to toxins in their environment. What are you using for home fragrances, plug-ins, sprays? What are you using in the garden to control weeds and pests and things like that? These are all sources of toxins that our animals are exposed to. If you want to learn more on the toxin piece, I have a beautiful course called Low Tox Pets. I've also got a couple of blog posts on it on toxins as well. So I'll pop all of that in the show notes for you. Lots more information for you to explore. But with that toxin reduction, that's, coming in, I mentioned before, easing the workload of the kidneys. The less toxins that the kidneys have to eliminate, the better, right? Sometimes reducing phosphorus in the diet can become necessary. I did mention around, as kidney disease advances, we see that buildup of phosphorus in the blood. So at that point, or even before, it can become necessary. When we're talking about phosphorus, so healthy kidneys can remove excess phosphorus in the blood very easily, just part of their daily thing, right? Daily habit, yep, tick and flick, done. But when kidney functioning declines, the kidneys can struggle to do this. And another problem with the excess phosphorus is it can actually pull calcium out of the bones, making them weak. And so then what you get is not only kidney dysfunction, but dysfunctioning of the skeletal system. So that can affect movement. Also, when the phosphorus is high, that can initiate kidney dysfunction or worsen kidney dysfunction, and it can cause structural damage to the kidneys. So be mindful of that. It can be challenging when you are buying food for your animal because it's usually not stated on the label, and you probably have no idea of what's high phosphorus, what's low phosphorus, what kind of phosphorus should be in the diet. That's where working with a pet nutritionist like me can assist you. Like if you really want to go, I want to make sure the phosphorus is not too high, Ruth, can you help me with that? Yes, I can. You will often see or read about protein restriction, but it's not necessarily protein that's the issue. It's more to do with the phosphorus because certain proteins, most commonly used proteins, are high in phosphorus. It's a hotly debated topic in the world of kidney health with animals is protein restriction. It's debated. The problem with protein, it's a really big problem with cats because they are obligate carnivores and they need protein, right? So with protein restriction, when it's too low, and you will often see this with prescription diets, the protein is really, really low. And sometimes the cats and dogs won't eat it. And then you've got a starving animal. They need to eat, right? If they don't eat, they're going to die of starvation rather than kidney issues. So, hello. It can result in weight loss. It can result in muscle wasting. It can result in poor skin and coat condition, malnutrition. And like I said, that's because, the animal is not eating as much food because the food is not palatable. Cats particularly are attracted to protein. They will naturally or instinctually be attracted to a higher protein food. On that note, if you haven't listened to episode 4 on natural pet diets, have a listen to that one. That will explain stuff about protein a little bit more. As I said, we can modify the diet to reduce phosphorus, to reduce other nutrients, but with respect to kidney dysfunction and phosphorus reduction, we can do that whilst maintaining healthy and safe protein levels. We're just using different types of protein, proteins that are lower in phosphorus. So that's kind of like, that's various aspects. And then supplementation, there's a lot of things actually that we can do with supplementation for supporting the kidneys. Herbs, some of my favorite herbs for the kidneys are Rhamania and Astragalus. I love them. They always have a place when I'm making a herbal kidney formula for a cat or for a dog. Mushrooms, my 2 favorites are cordyceps and reishi for supporting the kidneys. Prebiotics can be really helpful. Probiotics can be helpful. Omega-3 fatty acids can be helpful, and vitamin C can be helpful. Now, I'm always working with whole food sources. So on vitamin C, I'm not looking at synthetic. I'm talking about whole food. I actually make a whole food vitamin C product that I sell on my website that's a combination of camu, rosehip, and amla berries. Might be slightly changing that formula soon, but it'll still be a really beautiful, varied, healthy source of vitamin C rich foods. And you might be thinking, I literally got asked this today, but don't dogs and cats make their own vitamin C? They do. But there can be circumstances where it's beneficial to supplement their diet with vitamin C. And that's basically when there's stress. And that could be physical, mental, or emotional stress. And illness is a stressor on the body. And so, honestly, I would say whenever there's an illness, vitamin C is going to be beneficial. Aging animals, senior animals, vitamin C is going to be beneficial to supplement because aging is a stressor on the body. Do a whole episode on vitamin C. Let me know if you'd like that. And then I want to finish off by talking about energetic support. Before I do that, very kind of like skimmed over herbs, mushrooms, prebiotics, probiotics, omega-3, vitamin C. They're kind of like what I consider to be, part of a core kidney care protocol. But depending on the state of the animal's kidneys, there can be other supplements that I recommend as well, but it is very much a case-by-case, individual by individual basis. Please contact me if you would like personalized support. Now, energetic support, this is something that is often missed. The focus is usually just on the physical body, but holistic health or holistic animal care, if you've listened to episode 2, I think, was the one on holistic animal care. You'll have already a really good understanding for what holistic animal care is, and you will understand why energy is part of holistic animal care, why energetic support is part of it. There is an intimate relationship between the physical body and the energy body. They affect each other, right? And so, the physical state of the animal, the mental state of the animal, the emotional state of the animal affects their energy bodies. When we heal the energy body, we also heal the physical body. There is a big aspect of physical dis-ease that starts in the energy body and can get held in the energy body and get congested in the energy body, continuing to contribute to the physical issue, right? And when we're talking about energy, I'm not just talking about the mental or emotional or the physical state of the animal. I'm also talking about your physical state, your mental state, your emotional state. How is your energy? How is your emotional well-being? How is your physical health? Because of the intimate relationship between physical and energy bodies, what's going on with you will involve your energy bodies and energy transfers. So your animal can be picking up on your energetic state, right? And that's a whole other layer, which I did speak about in episode 2 in more detail. But looking at yourself too, and how you can improve your physical, mental, and emotional well-being, because that's going to have positive impacts on your energy body. But also you might want to look at doing energetic support for yourself as well. Now, when we're looking at the energy body, I mentioned before about the chakras, and I mentioned about the sacral chakra, the main chakra that's associated with the kidneys. But there are other chakras as well that can be impacted. The solar plexus, which is between the heart and the navel on humans and animals. I mean, animals don't really have navel, but you can imagine where a navel would be on an animal, right? It's kind of like the middle of the torso, like it is on us. So the solar plexus can get congested or blocked, right? And that can have an impact on the sacral chakra. Just like the rest of the body, the chakras don't work discretely and individually from another or separately from another. If one is impacted, if one is congested or depleted, then another one can be too, because there's this flow between the energy chakras within the body. So, when we're looking at kidney dysfunction, we're definitely going to be looking at sacral, but there might need to be some clearing and healing of the solar plexus and of the liver, because like I said, if the kidney is dysfunctioning, the liver can be picking up the slacks, and the liver can get congested and sluggish as well. Or energy can be blocked there. And what happens with energy is, if there's a buildup of energy, it's not cleared out and it can get congested and it can get blocked, then over time we can then start to see physical symptoms, right? So that's why it's like, if you want to heal the physical, you need to heal the energetic too. If you want to prevent physical issues, you want to be looking after, nurturing, nourishing the energy body as well. And now there might be other chakras as well that are relevant, and that's going to depend on the individual animal. There can be emotional origins of kidney dysfunction. Kidney failure can arise from long-standing resentment, and you might think, well, how does an animal resent? Well, they can, but also maybe reflecting on, do you hold resentment in your body? Yeah, that could leave an energetic imprint that your animal is picking up on. In traditional Chinese medicine, the kidney relates to fear. So the kidney stores fear and the kidney responds to, I'll say that again. The kidney stores fear and the kidney can responds to fear. So again, like with resentment, your animal could have fear. So pay some attention to that. What can you change? How can you support your animal with that fear? How can you reduce whatever is causing the fear? How can you help your animal to heal from fear? But also reflecting on you. What are you fearful of? I took a client through this exercise earlier this week in terms of, having that reflection time, looking at it at a high level, thinking, okay, what am I afraid of? If you can't think of anything, just paying attention and observing and going through the week and seeing how your body reacts to things and go, I have fear around that. Sometimes the simple act of identifying the fear or the other emotion can be enough to clear it, but normally it's quite repressed. And so it will take more than just acknowledgement. It will take some work, some effort to clear out that fear, to clear out that resentment. Usually you will need to work with a professional practitioner to help you do that. You can go and learn energy healing for yourself and practice on yourself. But even, as energy healers, energy workers will tell you, they still go and see practitioners. I still go and see energy practitioners for energetic support. It's nice to receive. And the other thing as well, it's with energy healing, energetic support, when we're doing energy healing, it's not just about the sacral chakra or the solar plexus chakra. We can also send the healing energies to the physical organs. Obviously, in this case, we're talking about kidneys today, so we're going to be sending the healing energies to the physical kidneys as well as to the relevant chakra. So there you have it. There's some guidance for you on how to support your animal's kidneys holistically. In summary, hydration. Ensure fresh water is available at all times and moist foods. Reduce the toxins. So opt for clean food choices, minimize exposure to chemicals, reduce pharmaceutical drugs, or provide complementary support to reduce side effects. Make some dietary adjustments. In addition to changing to feeding clean whole foods, you might need to make some dietary adjustments depending on the state of your animal's kidneys, on how advanced the kidney dysfunction is. You incorporating supportive supplements, including herbs, mushrooms, prebiotics, probiotics, omega-3, vitamin C, and their energetic support, recognizing the relationship between the physical and the energy bodies. That healing the energy body can positively impact the physical body. Being aware of the emotional origins of disease, being aware of your own emotions, like your triggers, your default emotions, anger, fear, resentment, stress, worry. What is showing up for you, as well as what is showing up for your animal? What is the state of their emotional health? And that also brings in that TCM, that traditional Chinese medicine perspective on the relationship between kidneys and fear. So I hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you would like personalized support, please reach out to me. You can just send me an email, or on Instagram, you can send me a DM. I hope you've enjoyed this show, and I will see you next week. If you loved today's show on holistic kidney care for animals, I would absolutely be so grateful if you would leave a review, or if you're watching this on YouTube, a comment below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, so that you don't miss an episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support. I'm so appreciative of you. And until next time, big love to you and your fur babes.